Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Type 35 build. There have been some pretty stellar moments in this car's life. The finished chassis was a big one. The front and rear suspension, mounting the body really turned a corner, and the dash, that one came out really cool. But put them all together, and they still won't equal the kind of epic I'm talking about, because I'm turning the key on this thing today. A few loose ends need attending to. A gasket on the header, between the head and the header, not the collector. Because this header has a ball and socket joint that I'm shocked isn't used by every header manufacturer. Rather than the flat-faced, 3-bolt, guaranteed to leak, paper gasketed nightmares, ball and sockets are just perfection. Thick flanged, spring preloaded, leak-free perfection. Standard header flanges are just exhausting. Not sealed up quite as perfectly would be the coolant system, because I don't have any hose clamps on it, because I don't expect to need them. Not on the lower radiator hose, not on the upper radiator hose, not even on those little caps where the hoses used to be. And the reason I don't need hose clamps is because I took off the accessory belt. Once I know everything is up and running right, I'll add clamps and coolant and the belt, but for now, I don't want to spin the water pump dry, so no boleta. But since water and electricity are so fun to mix, how can you talk about anything other than the very trick, cold air, externally mounted engine ground strap? It'll eventually get hidden under the motor mount, which would be easier to do if the motor wasn't in the way. So, until the motor's out of the way, this little guy gets to hang out with his braid out. He's attached to the body because everyone knows there's no better conductor of electricity than fiberglass. Though the body mounting screw attaching the ground strap does thread directly into the chassis. So there's that. Then there's the fuel lines, which, unlike the coolant hoses, got clamps. Neat ones too. Fancy stainless steel fuel injection hose clamps. These things are like ball and socket joints on headers. Unexpectedly awesome. The line of thought is a standard worm gear clamp like on a carburetor couldn't possibly hold up to the pressure of a fuel injection system, regardless of the fact that worm gear clamps can hold 120 psi rubber air lines to barbed compressor fittings. But I digress. Actually, what makes them so cool is they don't leave any marks on the hose when you remove them. A worm gear clamp will eat a hose up, but these, not a mark. Plus, they're so pretty. Which, I think that about brings us up to speed. Ignition system is ran, fuel system plumbed, gas in the tank, starter, battery. I don't think there's anything missing from giving this thing a whirl. So let me lean in here and key it on. I like that sound. The start position, that clunk isn't the key. That's the relay mounted the firewall kicking in when you turn the key. When the ignition's off, there's no power to anything, so parasitic drains won't run the battery down. It's got a jumper from the hot side to the ignition switch and back to the isolator, so when you turn the key on, that clunk is the sound of business. Speaking of business, I do still have to program the injection system, but I get to use my floppy screen. So press, nope, back, come on. There we go. Back, again, calibration wizard, and scroll to find the right injection system, and There we go. And select. Then cylinder number. Then displacement. And select. And target idle, which I think 650 should do. And select. Next is stock cam, then ignition, and again, and done. Upload it to the ECM, hit OK, then back to the main screen and finito. Cycle the ignition off. Then back on. The fuel pump's alive. Put the system boot. Okay. Now let's see if I can get some gauges. Click on monitor, then gauges, and oops, nope. No, that's not right. All gauges, no. Back, oops. Let's try here. Back, multi-gauge, gauge 1, no, gauge 2, no, 3, no, wrong button. Go home, try initial startup. Not exactly what I was looking for, but it's what I'm doing, so shows all the engine sensor readings. We can start here. Let me turn the key, see what we get. Oh, check that out. It runs. That's insane. Okay, I was not expecting the car to start. I was expecting it to burp, grumble, buck a little bit, but not actually start. What, did it roll over 5 or 6 times and boom, welcome to the noise. That was awesome. The starter, each time the engine rolls over, the car's so light it rocks with each roll. That's kind of cool. It was idling a little high, but contend to that. Need to learn the screens a bit, find one with better gauges, but it runs. And it runs pretty good too. No smoke, no rattles, 50 pounds of oil pressure, didn't hear it dropping any cylinders, and it sounds so good. I gotta do that again. Key it on. Wait for the fuel prime shot, and it just starts like right up. What was that like? One roll? No pedal? A side draft carburetor can't even come close to that kind of action. That's too cool. Man, there it is. One real, live, wicked sounding motor. Dude, I gotta do that again.